We crossed the street and sneaked back onto the parsonage grounds, climbing back into the coal hedge. "Why aren't you using the front door? You know it's always open from the inside," we heard a voice from a corner of the basement room. Shadowed by a large shelf, a dark figure sat in a garden chair. We all pushed to get back to the coal hedge and away from this frightening creature as quickly as humanly possible. Then the creature rose up from its seat and revealed itself to be my dad, wrapped in a fuzzy bobble hat and a long coat. "Oh my God, Dad, why did you have to scare us like that?" I tried to voice a feeble complaint that he very deliberately ignored. "It seems like your two friends are quite a negative influence on you. This is the second consecutive night that the three of you spent sneaking around God knows where. What's next? Stealing my car keys? Riding into the next best town?" "Well, if there's a city you'd recommend visiting on Christmas Day," Kai joked. He looked like he wanted to elaborate on his poorly timed banter when I kicked him in the shin, which got him to shut up. "I don't think I would," sighed my dad, and it sounded like an, "Oh no, my daughter is growing into a rebellious teenager earlier than expected." "Now, come on, Janine let in some bath water for you. All your clothes go into the washing machine. What were you thinking, climbing through that dirty old coal hatch? And all of you go into the bathtub, one after the other. We thought you wouldn't need a bath until tomorrow, but what needs to be done has to be done." And that was our nightly adventure, and my dad was tired enough not to ask any further questions about what we had been doing outside in the first place. After all, he had to get up early for a church service in the next morning, and even still went to take a 1-hour nap the second he got home the next day. We, on the other hand, slept until noon and only woke up after my dad had gone back to sleep himself. Sometime later, the telephone rang, and Janine took the call. Her expression turned very serious just seconds after. She hung up and turned towards us. "Could you look after Bubblegum once more, maybe this time without leaving the entire kitchen in disarray?" Oh no, I thought. She totally noticed what happened yesterday. Kinda nice that she didn't mention it until now. "What happened?" I asked out loud, without immediately agreeing. After all, I didn't spend the holidays at my dad's just to spend the entire time looking after my little brother. Thank you very much. I already did that enough at home. "Someone," Janine explained patiently, even though her expression hadn't eased a bit, "that your father knows very well is about to die, and asked us to come over and spend his last waking hours with him. I'm going to wake up your father, and we might not be back until dinner. Your father might stay a little longer, but I'm definitely going to be back by dinner time." We cautiously agreed, maybe because Bubblegum was still napping. My dad, still half dead on his feet, and Janine vanished into the mist outside. We watched them walk away through the kitchen window. Kai said, "Fantastic, now we can go visit Mr. Parkbaum," as soon as they were out of sight. "And what about Bubblegum?" I went on to ask, as if to back me up. He suddenly started wiggling. The common bedroom was right next to the kitchen, and crawled off the mattress. "I guess we can just take him along, can't we?" said Louise pragmatically. We simply prepared a bottle of milk for him to take along, added a little sugar for good measure, and tried to put on his shoes, which was a lot harder than it looked when the adults did it. Seriously, how did they do it? Bubblegum kept kicking around, and we simply failed to put even a single shoe on his feet. In a desperate compromise, we gave him Janine's rally boots. Obviously, they didn't fit. But Kai had the brilliant idea to wrap his feet into thick layers of double-sided tape until the boots stayed on his little feet through the sheer force of glue. Dressing Bubblegum in jacket, scarf, and woolly mittens went slightly better, but only because we were three strong children and he was only one toddler. On my own, I would have given into desperation as Bubblegum had started to perform near supernatural wiggles the second we decided to try and put a jacket on him. We put on our own clothes, which was only marginally easier because Janine had really put all of our coal-hatch dirtied winter clothes into the washing machine. So we put on our slightly thinner spare jackets and added a few rubs from my dad's costume shop that my dad had used for this year's nativity play. I took a bulky fur jacket, Kai a lined sack jacket, and Louise wore a felt shoulder wrap made for shadows. Chapter 19. Last chapter. And we are on our way to meet the final subject. We left the parsonage to pay a visit to Mr. Pfadbaum. We'd barely reached the road when we suddenly encountered a large four-legged creature. It was Micah, who looked like she already planned to greet me just as enthusiastically as she had done last night. I quickly went to scratch her ears, calming her down so that she contented herself with a friendly headbutt to my leg. Seems like the neighbors aren't back home yet. And we're the ones who didn't close the gate correctly, sighed Kai. What are we supposed to do with the dog? In the meantime, Bubblegum had started patting Maika as well, and she looked up at me expectantly, so I took off my long woolen scarf, I never liked scarf anyway, and tied it to the large dog's collar. We'll take her along, that's much safer, and we'll be just like the famous five. 2 girls, 2 boys, and a dog. Sure, snarled Kai, though I'm pretty sure that the famous five never had to look after a toddler. We walked through the thick mist over the bridge that led over the half-frozen Mitchell. The streets were completely empty. No one felt like going on a stroll 2 hours after most people would have eaten dinner on Christmas Day, especially not during such dismal weather. We reached the other side of the brook and the steep path that led towards Mr. Pfadbaum's house. The way was lined with bulky waste, an old lamp, a half-rotten chair, a bike missing both its wheels. Finally, we reached the top of the mountainside and stood before a small array of lodges, stalls, and tool sheds. The entire side was surrounded with barbed wire fencing. Luckily, there was an area where it had been stepped down and covered in enough ice and snow for us to easily pass over it.